Alright there guys, and welcome back to another video. Now today we need to clear up a quick bit of confusion. In my 5-year anniversary video I said that my next video on the channel would be a cartoon one, and as you've seen, that's not what ended up happening. Why? Because I just forgot. I've got a very bad memory, and the video that we're making right now is what was meant to be done then if I remembered, but I didn't. Which is why you got the Last Jedi video instead. But now we're here making the video I was actually talking about back then. As today we're going to be talking about the Super Mario World cartoon. Now, I've actually wanted to talk about this cartoon for quite a long time, because this cartoon was actually indeed part of my childhood. And I have a lot of nostalgia for this cartoon, and the cartoon recently, just a few months ago, turned 30 years old. Well, the whole thing, the final episode of it, turned 30 years old in December of last year. So it's a 3-decade-old cartoon as well. It came out a year after the game did. And I just want to talk about it because of the nostalgia and how I just love this cartoon and wish that maybe they made another Mario cartoon related to one of the games. So we'll start off with how I came about this cartoon in the first place. So if you guys in the UK know of a TV channel called Pop, it's basically a very, very kid-friendly TV channel. It mostly shows kids shows. That's what the main bulk of the shows on that channel are. And when I was a kid, so we're going back to we're going back to about 2005, 2006. Maybe even 2007. The Super Mario World cartoon was on Pop back then. That is how I found it. I don't know how I came across the channel in the first place, but once I did and found the Super Mario World cartoon, I was always checking to see when the next episode was on. I even started waking up at 6:30 in the morning just to watch this show. On a school day as well. I had school I would have school on the days that it was airing, but I'd wake up earlier in the day in order to watch whatever episode was on. And there are a couple of episodes I do want to talk about. But first we should probably establish the main cast of the show. So the main cast is made up of Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Princess Toadstool. Yep, she wasn't called Princess Peach just yet. And the main villain is Bowser, of course, and the Koopalings show up in varying episodes. But the interesting thing about this show compared to the games is that all the Koopalings have different names in the show to what they do in the games. For example, Larry in the games is called Cheatsy in the show. Roy is called Bully, Morton is called Big Mouth, and Ludwig is called Kooky Von Koopa. No, I'm not joking. They decided to change the names of every single Koopaling from the games to the show. I don't know why. Maybe something to do with copyright, but then again, you use Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Yoshi. So I don't know why you didn't just use the regular names of the Koopalings, but they didn't. And the show takes place in Dinosaur Land, just like the game did. So civilization is not very advanced. They're still living in caveman times. So many things that exist in the real world have not been invented yet in Dinosaur Land. Of course, Mario, Luigi, and Peach well, Mario and Luigi at least, know about all the things that exist in the real world that haven't been invented yet. So the first episode I want to talk about is an episode called Mama Luigi. I don't know if you might have heard of it. It was actually the very last episode of the show that was ever made. And that's the most recent episode that turned 30 years old back in December. And the thing that makes this episode nostalgic for me is the fact that it was the final episode that ever aired for the show, and yet it's the very first episode of the show I ever saw. What are the odds of that? The first episode of a show that you end up watching is actually the final episode. The episode has Luigi telling Yoshi the story of how the two of them met. And you probably could have easily guessed Yoshi is the one on screen right now. And a little bit of trivia for you on Yoshi. The voice actor that plays Yoshi in this cartoon actually plays Diddy Kong in the Donkey Kong Country cartoon, which is an even more obscure cartoon that not many people know about. So Luigi tells Yoshi the story of how they met, and that Yoshi started calling Luigi Mama Luigi, and that is a running gag for the whole episode. And Yoshi didn't take too kindly to Mario when they first met, because Mario insults Yoshi when they first meet, so Yoshi tries to eat him. Yoshi realizes people don't actually taste that good, and spat him back out. So Mario and Luigi end up having to be saved by Yoshi from Bowser in order to... Well, who knows what Bowser would do with them. He's been thinking it up for enough decades. He'll have thought of something. And that episode always will stick with me because it's the first episode of the show I ever watched, and that's what got me into wanting to watch more of the show. Of course, there are actually 3 cartoons related to Mario that were released not that long apart. There was the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, which was the original, which is where Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad basically went through all sorts of different crazy adventures in so many different locations around the world. One of them even has one of them's even a parody of Indiana Jones, which I still find really funny. Then there was the Super Mario Bros. 3 cartoon, which, as you'd guess, gives us the power-ups and the characters from Super Mario Bros. 3. And then, of course, we had Super Mario World. But there was never another Mario cartoon made after this. And the only animated form of Mario that won't be a game that we're going to get anytime soon is actually the Super Mario movie that comes out in December of this year. So, on to the next episode I want to talk about, and this one is called King Scooper Koopa. Basically, Bowser opens up a fast food restaurant to scam all the cave people and give them unhealthy food. His plan goes off without a hitch. The cavemen get addicted to the food. Yoshi and Luigi do as well. Mario for a time does, and they even end up getting turned into chickens. And that was Bowser's whole plan, because he was then going to turn them into fried chicken and make even more money. Bowser would be a very good businessman. Maybe he should stop thinking about kidnapping Princess Peach and become a businessman. I think he'd do very well for himself. But the thing about this episode is there's a line in this episode that has stuck with me ever since I watched it all those years ago, like 15, 16 years ago. And I still say it to this day, and you guys might have even heard me say it from time to time in videos. So Yoshi goes to order his food, and he doesn't have any money, so Bowser gets pretty ticked off at him and starts insulting him. So Mario comes and says, how much does he owe? So Bowser says, 18 smackaroos. So Mario says, 18 coins? I call that highway robbery. Then Bowser says, well, I call it inflation. And the line Mario says, I call that highway robbery. I have said that line hundreds upon hundreds of times, probably thousands of times over the past 15 years. Ever since I heard it for the first time. Because it's such a great line, and it works so many times in real life situations when you hear something that shouldn't be expensive, and then you hear the price and you're like, that's highway robbery. So yeah, I've always stuck with that. That line has always stuck with me ever since I heard it for the first time. And that's another reason why I just love this show. And finally, we need to talk about the circus episode from the show. So Bowser opens up a circus where his dinosaurs and Mecha Koopas are the performers at the circus. And the Koopalings occasionally join in. What Bowser really wants is to kidnap all the cave people and feed them to the dinosaurs. He ends up capturing Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach at the same time, while Mario manages to get away. While Mario is running through the circus tent, he looks for a power-up. And he manages to acquire himself the Super Feather. Of course, if you've played Super Mario World, or you know anything about the game, you'll know that there's a white feather in the game called the Super Feather that gives Mario the power-up of the Super Cape. Now, interesting change between the show and the game. In the Super Mario World game, Mario has a yellow cape. But in the show, he has an orange cape. I don't know why they changed the colour of the cape. It doesn't make any difference to what the cape can do. Just thought it was worth mentioning that Mario's cape varies in colour from game to show. But this is where the show does something pretty amazing. Let's see if you can work it out before I tell you. Bowser then takes Princess Peach away from everyone else in his Koopa clown cart, and Mario has the Super Cape. Can you see where I'm going with this? If not, then let me tell you. The show actually recreates the final boss fight from the game. Because Bowser uses the same attack pattern Bowser has in the final boss of the game, he uses in this episode. He throws Mecha Koopas at Mario, just like he does in the game. He has this attack where the Koopa Clown Cart descends to the ground and bounces on top of the ground, which if I remember correctly, hits you in the final boss, it's instant death, I think. And the only way to defeat Bowser in the game is to jump on a Mecha Koopa's head and throw them back at Bowser and hope they land in the Koopa Clown Cart and hit Bowser. And that's exactly the same as what happens here. Mario knocks out the Mecha Koopa, and throws it back at Bowser. And just like in the game, it hits the Koopa clown cart, the clown cart goes upside down, and Peach falls out of the clown cart and Mario catches her. That's something that TV shows based on games don't do very often. Recreating a specific part of the game in the show. But the Super Mario World cartoon did exactly that, recreating the final boss of the game perfectly. Setting up everything so it looks just like it would in the game. And it plays out the exact same way it did in the game. And that is my video on the Super Mario World cartoon. Kind of a cartoon that's been lost to time nowadays. No one really ever talks about it anymore. But I still really like this show. And from time to time, I do go back and watch it. Unfortunately, it's not on Pop anymore, and it hasn't been probably for over 10 years. The only shows on there that I feel like are even worth watching are one of the new Pokemon series. Is it Pokemon Journeys? Yeah, I haven't kept up with Pokemon that much, and maybe Pop was the TV channel that I watched Pokemon on when I was a kid, because that's the first anime I ever saw. So yeah, maybe the older Pokemon series was on there too, but now the newer Pokemon series is, and Dragon Ball Super is on there too. If you're interested in watching Dragon Ball Super on regular TV, that's where you'll find it in the UK. But that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, catch you later.